Hello, this is, I'm Pam Consier with the Accidental Muralist podcast. Today, for both my YouTube viewers and my podcast listeners, we're going to do sort of an audio experiment about doodling in honor of my new book that I just finished and published myself called Doodle Your Way Out of Stuckness. It's backwards for the viewers because I'm using my laptop camera. I am addicted to doodling and I like to share it with other people. I've done these activities with accountants and with little kids and everybody in between, and there's something magic involved in doodling. I think it has to do, and when I doodle, I'm usually combining words and pictures or little, doohickeys, little decorations. And I think there's something about combining the left brain written words with the right brain decorations and images that make some kind of magic happen. So that's what we're going to do here. So the warm-up part, here's the plan. I'm going to lead you through a quick little doodle warm-up. Then I'm going to guide you in a sort of a full page doodle activity. And then what I would love for you to do is to email me photos of what you made. Either you could take a picture with yourself with your doodle or just your paper, it doesn't matter. And then next month in my blog, when I post pictures on the 13th of November, because I'm doing a picture post each month, I will include your photos of what you doodled today. So I'm going to show you, for the people viewing, my doodle warm-up, but I'm not going to show you what I'm doodling. I'm just going to use words to guide through it. And in doodling, here's the rule. There's no right answer. There's no wrong way to doodle. So I think it will be more fun if you're not watching me, because if you're watching me, you might kind of try to imitate or, feel like you have to do it like mine. And it's kind of an experiment. I just want to see what comes out when I'm giving instructions that are sort of loose and general. But what you need today is a piece of scratch paper for the warm-up. I'm going to use just a half sheet of computer paper, and then you can have a full sheet of paper. Those rules are just basic guidelines. You could do this in your journal or on any piece of scratch paper or post-it, whatever. Don't get hung up on what you're doing. But we're going to have two separate papers, one for the warm-up, one for the doodle activity. So without further ado, let's start warming up. So on your paper, and I grabbed a pencil. I think I'm going to switch to Sharpie so that the people watching can see better. But whatever writing implement you want to use is fine. So first, just draw a sort of straight-ish line across your paper, just a line. And then let's make a zigzag line. Mine's kind of up and down like mountain tops in a kindergarten way. And then let's do sort of a scalloped line, kind of like a small lowercase m continuously across. And again, there's no right and there's no wrong, so if yours comes out some other way, that's fine. Let's make it go sort of the other way, like cresting waves. Mine's just gonna point up and then to swoop down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up. And on my paper, I'm moving down the page with each different type of line. We're just sort of building a line vocabulary so that later on when we're doodling, you'll have some ideas of different kinds of lines to use, so you won't be stuck like, I don't know what to do. You'll have a whole set of examples of things you could do. Now let's make a line of little circles going across the page. I'm making mine like a little smaller than a pea, Yours could be tiny, yours could be the size of a quarter, it doesn't really matter. Now let's make a dashed line or a broken line. Mine's going horizontally across with just little spaces every so often. Now let's make a line of hearts. Just little hearts next to each other, marching across the page. I'm not trying to make anything perfect. I'm just getting stuff down on paper. Now let's make like a continuous loopy line that would be like a small case cursive E, if you remember those from 3rd grade. So I'm going up, looping around, up, as I move across, and I'm left-handed, so it doesn't help my viewers much because I'm in the way, but it's sort of like a spirally shape across the page. And now let's do another zigzag, but make it irregular, like some tall and pointy, some short and wide, just sort of a jaggedy, raggedy, maybe it'll end up looking more like shark's teeth, or a, what's it called, like an EKG, is that the machine where it like checks your heart rate or something in the hospital? Let's do that with the M shape, the loopy scallop line. Make them irregular, like some are big and loopy, some are tiny. It might sort of look like the edges of clouds that a 1st grader would draw. How about a line of little squares? Again, the size doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that they're perfectly square with right angles. We're just getting some ideas of designs that we might use in a doodle later on. And then if you have a little space left on your paper, think of your own way to get across. So I'm not going to show this one. I'm going to do some other thing and just add 1 or maybe 2 more lines of some little design to get you across the paper. So now we're done with our warm-up. If you have space on your paper and you want to do a little bit more warm-up, you could spend a minute or so trying some different lettering styles. If you remember how to write in cursive, you could write a word or two. If you want to warm up a block letter, something kind of swirly curly or scripty or jaggedy. That's optional, but you can sort of get fancy with your letters if you want to. So as you're finishing that up, set that paper aside, and now on your main paper, so now for the people watching, I'm not going to show you my paper. I'm going to stay on camera, but you won't see what I'm making. So on your paper, I always start mine by sort of framing the edge. I run my pinky finger along, I'll just show. I sort of guide with my pinky finger along the edges to make a frame. I don't know why I do that. You don't have to do that. For some reason, I just like containing my doodles inside of a frame instead of all the way to the edge of the paper, but that's just one of my little quirks. So I've got my paper framed up. Yours, you can if you want. Now what I want you to do is think of a word or a phrase that right now in these stressful, troubled times is bringing you joy or peace or comfort or a sense of calm and optimism. So just spend a minute thinking, and then on your page, I was going to say in the middle, but again, this is doodling, there's no rules. So you don't have to put it in the middle of your paper, but you can. You could put it in one corner and then you could doodle out from there. You could, write it so that it sort of takes up space in different parts of your paper. This is where you put your individual stamp on whatever you do. So there's no right or wrong, but just think, choose a word or phrase or sentence that makes you feel hopeful, and write that somewhere, somehow on your paper, in just your regular handwriting, in fancy letters if you want, in block letters, in cursive, in any style you want. You can mix up styles within the phrase. Let's see. Okay. I had to think, I hadn't thought about what I was going to write before. Mine might be making noise because I'm using a Sharpie on paper. I usually don't doodle in Sharpie, but I guess I don't need to anymore since I'm not going to put it on camera. Okay, I have a 2-word phrase. That gives me hope. Okay, so once you have your phrase down now, and again, from here on out, you can follow my prompts or you can do your own thing, because once again, doodling has no rules around it. The point is to sort of fill out your paper now with various embellishments and little shapes and designs and doohickeys, however you want. And if you want to just go off and do it right now your own way, do it. If you want to follow my prompts, I'm going to give you some prompts that at any point you can choose to do them, you can discard them and do your own thing. But if you want to follow me, I'm going to sort of outline my words with a line. I like to do double lines a lot of times, like I'll go around it twice. Sometimes I sort of make my line go in and out, following the line of the letters as opposed to just like a big circle. But there's nothing wrong with doing a big circle. Now, on the outside of that line, I'm going to take one of my designs from the line vocabulary, the warm-up that we did, and I'm going to take one of those shapes and run that shape all around the edge of the outline that I just drew. So if you want to do that too, that can be our next move. So I wrote the phrase, I drew a line around the words, the outside of the words. Now I'm taking one of the shapes from our warm-up and I'm making a continuous line of those shapes all around the outline. And I am almost back where I started. Okay, and then now I think I'm going to make another outline again. Now I'm going to draw a line sort of outlining all those shapes that I just laid down. So now we have like kind of a double outline with some kind of design in the middle of those two lines. Now, I think from here, I'm gonna, in about 5 or 6 places around what's now my outside shape, I'm gonna draw lines to connect that to the outside frame or the outside of my page. And that's gonna section off my design. It's gonna leave me with some little divided up spaces. So instead of having one big space on the outside, now I put 1, 2, 3, 4. I put 6 lines, so that made 6 spaces. And each space is a different shape. Some are, have more space than others. It doesn't matter. I made straight lines. If your lines are curvy or whatever, that doesn't matter. Now, in each of those different shapes that I've just sort of cordoned off between the outside of my paper and the inside shape that's holding my words, I'm going to use, again, designs from the Warmup, and I'm going to put a different sort of little design in each of those 6 remaining spaces. So if you want to do something like that, you could do the same activity. If you want to write words in some of the spaces and make little pictures in some of the spaces, you could do that. If you want to put stripes in some of them and polka dots in some of them, you could do that. Again, this is like no rules, but I know no rules kind of freaks some people out because they want rules. So I guess I'll give a hint and say that in one of the spaces, I'm just going to make a whole bunch of stripes. I'm just drawing lines next to each other, and I'm going to fill in one of those spaces with stripes. Maybe with another one, I'm going to fill it in with little hearts. But that's all I'm going to tell you. Because now you can do anything you want. And then here's my dream. My dream is that you will have some fun doodling. You'll kind of free up your mind. It will be fun and not stressful. It will be an exploration of like just letting yourself play without worrying about right answers. And then no matter what it looks like, even if you think it's weird, I am hoping that you will take a picture of it or take a picture of yourself with it and email it to me at Pam, P-A-M, at allhandsart.com. Pam at allhandsart.com. I'll write it, let's see, I'll write it backwards because this is going to show, this will test my left-handedness, backward brain writing. Ooh, how do you do the at symbol backwards? I've heard that left-handed people are a little bit better at writing backwards, and that could be true. So you're still doodling, I'm assuming. Well, I try. Right. The reason I'm writing my email address backwards is because my camera on my computer is going to show it backwards. So hopefully this way it will show the right way. Let's see, did I do it? What happened? Oh, I made my A's the right way. That's funny. I made my A's the right way thinking they were backwards. I did not do a good job. Anyway, you get the idea. Pam at allhandsart.com. And mail them to me no later than November 12th. That's a long time, but you might not be listening to this until November 11th, and then you'll have one day to finish it. Okay, so go ahead and finish your doodle. Take a picture of your paper or of you holding your paper. Email it to me, pam@allhandsart.com, and we'll see how it went. This was just an audio doodling experience in celebration of my new book, which can be found on my website, allhandsart.com. If you go to the shop, which you'll see on the top menu bar, and you click on the shop, you will see this book. It should be at the top of the shop page, like when you scroll down, or you can look at the heading books and find it there. I'm very excited about it. I think the printers did a great job. It's full of doodle activities. Some of them I'm leading you along what to do. Like there's a activity like what we just did, doing different lines. There's some practice lettering, but a lot of it is kind of getting you to think about things in new ways, sort of breaking out of the old patterns and habits that we've been formed in, because as you've noticed, there's some challenges in the world that are going to need some really creative problem solving. And I don't think that we can solve them by thinking in the same ways that we've been thinking for millennia, because that is the thinking that has got us into these problems. So I am advocating that we come up with new ways of approaching things, and we can start that on the page by testing out new ways of sort of playing like children again, and freeing up our brains a little bit. That is why I wrote this book. This is my favorite part on the back cover. That's kind of my self-portrait of me writing. And again, it's available in my shop. That's the only place it's available right now, allhandsart.com/shop. You'll find it there. And I hope you'll doodle along with me and start this doodle revolution so we can change the world. The subtitle is Imagination Lessons for Changing the World and Rearranging Your Furniture, because it can help you with small things too. So I am Pam Consier from All Hands Art. This is the Accidental Muralist podcast. And thanks for joining me on this audio doodling experience. See you next time.